It's a familiar scene. You sit down, you open Netflix, you scroll through what feels like an endless wall of shows. You pick one, you watch. Simple. A place to watch stuff for a monthly fee. That's what it looks like from your couch. But behind that simple play button is one of the most fascinating money machines ever built, and it works in a way that would surprise almost everyone on that couch. Netflix isn't really in the business of making shows. The shows are the bait. The business is something else entirely. I'm Mr. Finance, and today we're breaking open how Netflix actually makes its money, why the shows are a cost and not the product, the enormous risky bet hidden inside the company, and the investing lesson underneath it that applies to way more than streaming. As always, understand the business, and you understand the money. Let's open it up. Let's start with the engine, because it's beautiful in its simplicity. Netflix makes its money from subscriptions, a monthly fee from a massive number of people in almost every country on Earth. And the magic word here is the same one behind so many great businesses: recurring. You don't buy a movie. You pay a fee that renews automatically, quietly, every single month. And you'd probably rather not go through the tiny hassle of canceling. Multiply that small automatic payment by a huge number of households worldwide, and you get a river of money that shows up month after month, whether or not there's a hit show that week, whether or not you even open the app. That predictability is exactly what makes investors value a business like this so highly. It's not a store making one-off sales. It's a pipeline that refills itself. So rule one of understanding Netflix: the product being sold isn't a show. It's a habit, a monthly subscription that quietly renews. Everything else the company does is in service of keeping that habit alive. Here's the flip that surprises people. All those shows and movies, the giant hits everyone talks about, Netflix mostly treats them as a cost, a tool, the bait on the hook. Their real job isn't to be sold individually, it's to get you to subscribe and, more importantly, to keep you from canceling. Think about how you actually behave. You keep paying partly because there's always something new you want to watch, or a series you're in the middle of. Every big show Netflix makes or buys is really an investment in retention, in giving you one more reason not to cancel this month. The content isn't the thing being sold. It's the reason the subscription stays switched on. Lose the steady stream of something worth watching, and people cancel, so the whole machine depends on constantly feeding that hook. This completely reframes the company. When a show is a huge hit, the win isn't ticket sales. It's the subscribers who joined and the ones who didn't cancel. The shows are the expense that protects the recurring revenue. That's a very different business than we make movies. Now, the part that makes this business genuinely risky and dramatic. To keep that hook baited, Netflix spends a staggering amount of money making and buying content, and it spends much of it up front, long before it knows what will be a hit. This creates a treadmill. You can't just make a few great shows and coast. Subscribers always want the next thing, so you have to keep spending, constantly, to keep them. And here's the gamble. Nobody can reliably predict which expensive show will be a smash and which will flop. So the company pours enormous money into a slate of content, hoping enough of it lands to keep people subscribed. For years, this meant spending more than it brought in, borrowing heavily to fund the content machine, betting that the subscriber river would eventually grow big enough to cover it all. That's the tension at the heart of Netflix: a reliable river of subscription money on one side and a bottomless, risky, upfront content spend on the other. Get the balance right, and it's a golden machine. Get it wrong, overspend, or let the hits dry up so people cancel, and it can turn ugly fast. Which is exactly why the next piece matters so much. Here's how Netflix tilts that risky bet in its favor. Data. More than almost any traditional studio, Netflix knows exactly what its subscribers watch, what you finish, what you quit after 10 minutes, what you binge at 2 a.m., what makes you subscribe, what makes you leave. That mountain of viewing data becomes a weapon. It helps them decide what kinds of shows to make more of, which ones are worth a big budget, what will keep which type of person subscribed. A regular studio makes a movie and hopes. Netflix makes decisions with a detailed map of what its audience actually does. It's not perfect. Hits are still hard to predict, but it turns a wild gamble into a slightly more informed one. And that same data powers the thing you see every time you open the app, the recommendations. Netflix works hard to always put something in front of you that you'll want to watch, because a subscriber who can always find something good is a subscriber who doesn't cancel. The data doesn't just decide what gets made. It quietly keeps you on the hook, night after night. As the company matured and subscriber growth got harder, it did what smart businesses do. It found new ways to squeeze more money from the same machine. Two moves stand out, and you've probably felt both. First, advertising. Netflix introduced a cheaper plan that shows ads. Now they earn money two ways from those viewers: a smaller subscription fee plus payment from advertisers who want to reach them. It opens the door to price-sensitive people who wouldn't pay full price while adding a whole new income stream on top. Second, the password crackdown. For years, huge numbers of people were sharing accounts using someone else's login for free. Netflix tightened this, nudging those extra users to pay for their own access. In one move, they turned a pile of freeloaders into new paying customers without needing to attract a single stranger. Both moves show the pattern of a maturing business. When growth from new customers slows, you find more money inside the customers you already have. So what protects all this? Why can't someone just copy it? There's a moat here, and it's built from a few things stacked together. There's sheer scale. A massive global subscriber base means Netflix can spread the enormous cost of a show across more people than almost anyone else. So each subscriber pays a little, and it still adds up to a giant content budget. There's the data advantage we talked about. There's the habit. Netflix became a verb, the default place people go, and defaults are powerful. And there's the catalog and the constant flow of originals that a new competitor would have to spend years and fortunes to match. But, and this is the honest part, the moat isn't unbreakable. Unlike some businesses, people can and do subscribe to several streaming services, and switching is just a couple of taps. The competition is fierce, and the treadmill of content spending never stops. So it's a strong moat, but a nervous one, which is a very important distinction when you think about it as a business. So here's why any of this matters, even if you never buy a share of Netflix. Because the way we just looked at it is the way you should look at any company before you invest. Look what a few questions revealed. Is the money recurring? Yes. The subscription. What's the real cost that drives everything? The endless, risky, upfront content spending. Is there a moat? Yes, but a contested one. And the big one. For years, this company had enormous revenue while spending even more to build the machine. A perfect reminder that revenue is not profit. A business can be huge and growing and still be pouring cash out the door. You have to look at what's kept, not just what comes in. The crowd sees a couch and a screen full of shows. The investor sees a subscription machine fed by a risky content treadmill, sharpened by data, defended by a nervous moat. That's the difference between watching a company and understanding one. And understanding one is the first step to ever investing in it wisely. One last honest thing before you go, because understanding a business and it being a good investment are two completely different questions. We just cracked open how Netflix works, but that is not me telling you it's a smart buy. A wonderful business at the wrong price is still a bad investment, and streaming is a brutally competitive, fast-changing space where today's leader isn't guaranteed to stay on top. Price matters. Competition matters. The endless content spending is a real risk. And for most people, most of the time, owning a tiny slice of hundreds of companies through a simple index fund beats trying to bet on which single streaming service wins the war. Learning to read a company's engine like this isn't about chasing the hot stock, it's about never being fooled by a shiny logo again, so that if you ever do pick individual companies, you do it with your eyes open. Understand the business first. Always. The buy decision, if there ever is one, comes later, and with a lot more humility than the crowd cheering the latest hit show. So the next time you sink into the couch and open Netflix, you'll see it differently. That endless wall of shows isn't the product, it's expensive bait, protecting a river of small monthly payments, chosen by data, defended by scale, and paid for by a treadmill of spending that can never stop. The show is the cost, the subscription is the business, The crowd sees a place to watch shows. You see the engine now. That's the whole point of this series. And notice how useful this lens is once you have it. The same three questions that cracked Netflix open. Is the money recurring? What's the real cost hiding underneath? And is there a moat protecting it? Work on almost any business you'll ever look at. The gym with the monthly membership, the phone plan you forget you're paying, the app that quietly renews. Once you start seeing which companies get paid again and again versus which have to win each sale fresh, you can't switch it off. That's not just a trick for investors. It's a way of understanding the whole economy you live inside, and it started with a show on your couch. So tell me in the comments, which company should I break open next? Drop the name. The best one becomes the next video. Take care of your money. Even your entertainment has an engine, and now you can see it.